little over a year ago, several dozen residents of the Westside of Grand Rapids started to come together through a Facebook group. After learning they had a commonality, they all, in the last 20 years, had a relative who had lived in the neighborhood die from cancer.
We were trying to get answers as to why so many of our relatives in one area and friends have passed away from cancer. There was just so many. It just didn't make sense to any of us, just one after the other.
On June of last year, the members of the Facebook group known as the Westside Cancer Crisis Group went to the City of Grand Rapids Commission meeting to voice their concerns. Here is Pete Shapanik speaking to the commissioners.
I'm here as a member of the Westside Cancer Crisis. Although I no longer live in the neighborhood, I spent the first 30 years of my life living there. I was born in 1964. Grew up in that neighborhood. I lived on Butterworth Street. We are now into the third generation of family members with cancer. I lost my father and my mother. My sister passed away of pulmonary disorders. Both my grandparents, aunt, uncle, cousin, all in the same neighborhood, G-Lock Street, Butterworth Street. I was diagnosed last October with cancer. I'm currently battling that.
Jennifer Lovett, who grew up on Indiana Avenue, a couple blocks from Butterworth Street, had 6 family members die from cancer, all in the last 10 years.
My stepfather, his mother, his brother, his uncle, my cousin, my husband passed away in 2017. And they all grew up on the West Side and lived there their whole life.
In August of 2018, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency calculated cancer risks from toxic air pollution for each of the nation's census tracts, based on emissions during 2014, and found that residents living near Viant Medical on the southwest side of Grand Rapids had a lifetime cancer risk of nearly 4 times greater than the national average. Viant Medical is a local company that makes medical devices. Viant and its predecessors have been sterilizing medical instruments with a carcinogenic chemical known as ethylene oxide for almost 30 years. That is why, in January, the state launched an investigation to test the air quality and found that the area had very high levels of ethylene oxide emissions. Here is Chris Etheridge from the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy at a public forum held in Grand Rapids last week.
And you'll see every one of these SUMA canister results is showing numbers that are above the accepted health screening levels for ethylene oxide.
Having lost so many family members to cancer, Lovett was hoping that a cancer study of the area would bring her some answers. But the study found that there was no connection between an increase in cancers related to breathing ethylene oxide and the area's elevated chemical levels. But according to Laura Abington from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, the study has some limitations because the findings are based on surveillance data and not epidemiological research.
Cancer can sometimes take decades to develop in people, so an exposure that happened a long time ago might have something to do with cancer that happens a long time down the road, and we don't know where people were living a long time ago or what they were exposed to.
Today, the state says Viant agreed to stop using ethylene oxide by January 31 of next year.
To stop what they're doing and to maybe admit that, yes, this could be the cause of all the heartache they've caused many families in that area. Take responsibility. Just say yes. Admit it.
Michelle Jokisch Polo, WGVU News.
Support for Mutually Inclusive comes from the W.K. Kellogg Foundation.